Thank you.
It is 1 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started. Welcome to this webinar, What is Toastmasters and What's in It for Me? We set this up as a panel discussion with 3 panelists, whom I will introduce in a couple of minutes. First, there are a couple of housekeeping items, one of which is that this webinar is being recorded to be shared on our District 48 YouTube channel. You can keep your camera off, except for our panelists, and rename yourself if you don't want to be seen. Also, if you're not a panelist, please keep your microphone muted. We will have an opportunity for question and answer at the end. And you can, I was going to say you can also enter your question via chat, but the chat feature was inadvertently left off, so we don't have that. So we will definitely have a verbal question and answer period at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. First, a brief history of Toastmasters. Toastmasters International was founded in 1924 by Ralph Smedley, a man who recognized the need for an avenue by which, at the time, young men could improve their communication skills. The organization was incorporated in 1923 as a not-for-profit. Membership grew over the years. Women who had their own organization prior to the 1970s officially joined Toastmasters in 1970s. The organization as a whole has over 16,000 clubs in 143 countries. According to a 2018 to 19 member survey, 93.7% of the respondents agree that Toastmasters has helped them meet their goals. This panel discussion is hosted by District 48 of Toastmasters International. My name is Robin Featherston. I am the current District Director for District 48. Our district spans Southwest Florida, from Brooksville in the north to Naples in the south, and east to about Lake Okeechobee. It's not quite a straight line, but it's close. We have approximately 2,500 unique members and 122 clubs in our district. This discussion is designed to highlight what Toastmasters is and how it can help you. As I mentioned, we have 3 panelists this afternoon. In alphabetical order, Carol Marino is one of our panelists. She is a dynamic and resourceful executive assistant with experience managing C-level teams in a fast-paced and high-stress environments at Toastmasters at Tampa International Airport. Vijay Nair. Vijay is president of Athene Lead, Inc. and provides management in the field of information technology, import-export, education, and training. And our third panelist is Teresa Norton. Teresa is an entrepreneur and owns a small business practice with New York Life, where she specializes in retirement planning and building generational wealth. Welcome, Carol, Vijay, and Teresa, and thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Okay.
So now for the meat and potatoes of this session. We're going to start off with a softball question. Why did you join Toastmasters? And we'll start with alphabetical order. So Carol, would you like to field that question first, please?
Yes, Robin. Thank you so much for that warm introduction. I joined Toastmasters in 2014. And like most of you, if you are looking for a club, I just went to the Toastmasters International website and plugged in my zip code and found a club that was at a meeting at a convenient time for me and a convenient location. When I heard about Toastmasters, I wanted, my goal was to become a stronger public speaker. And when I went to the club meeting, I found a warm and friendly group of Toastmasters that even in the future became friends. And there was a lot of other benefits that came along with joining Toastmasters that you really don't understand until you attend the meetings and meet the Toastmasters and see what the club meetings are all about. But the initial reason why I joined was to become a stronger public speaker.
Thank you, Carol. Vijay, what about you? Why did you join Toastmasters?
Yeah, well, I was new to this country and I came to do my graduate studies in North Carolina. And after that, I was looking for a job and I've never worked in this country. And there were a lot of interviews I was going to, but I found it difficult to communicate with people of this country, which was something new for me. I spoke English, but it was the Queen's English, it's not the American English. And then somebody asked me, have you heard of Toastmasters? And that was a gentleman who taught communication at NYU. This was in North Carolina. That's how I decided to join Toastmasters. I went in, very suspicious of what they will do there. But then within 2 months, I had a job. And I don't know what changed within me. It was something, that came through my experience that I went through in that club, plus the conference I had when I went to a group or a interview. I could talk to people very confidently in a language that was not my own. So I think that's why I joined Toastmasters after graduation to find a job, and I did get a job, and I did get Toastmasters in return too.
Thank you, Vijay. Teresa, what about you?
Several years ago, I lived in New Jersey, and my realtor recommended that I go to Toastmasters. I was in the process of moving, so I didn't join there. But when I moved to Florida, I decided to go. I was giving speeches in the community, and I was really nervous about it. Maybe it showed, maybe it didn't, but I felt like I needed to be more comfortable and I needed to get my message across just a little bit easier. So I joined a local Toastmasters group. When I went to the group, I was immediately welcomed. I saw the ease in how they ran the meetings, and I also saw how all I had to do was really follow the plan that was already laid out through Toastmasters and apply that to whatever it was that I was doing. So I was able to basically talk about anything that I wanted to with ease in a setting where it was non-threatening. And it became more enjoyable for me. And I was able to overcome some of those anxieties. So that's why I joined.
Thank you. So we heard a variety of reasons for joining, a lot centered on communication, moving to a new area to get their feet wet in the area, building confidence, and in a non-threatening atmosphere with an added benefit of making new friends. So those of us, the panelists, we know we've recently switched our education program in Toastmasters. And we have an education program called Pathways, an online learning platform. How does the education program work? And I'll let one of you volunteer for this question.
I'll let either of you do it.
Teresa, you want to field this one?
Pathways is an interactive educational program where you take an assessment and it recommends areas of study for you based on your interest and your needs. You have about 11 different paths that you can take based on that information. And it is self-paced. It applies real-world experience so that you can use whatever you're learning, you can use that immediately. You're able to get feedback online, and you're able to reference that material, the material that you've received from Toastmasters in your clubs. You're able to reference that and improve upon your speaking and leadership.
Excellent. And thank you for that, Teresa.
Yeah, just want to add that assessment that you take is something that will show you the path you need to follow. And there are a lot of paths you can follow, including leadership, communication, coaching, effective coaching, mastery in presentation, and so forth. There are as many as 11 paths you can follow. But it will show you a path based on the assessment you take. And you can choose to follow that, or you have 30 days within which to change your path to something that you like to follow. So that's very effective interactive tool, as Teresa said. It's one of the best tools Toastmasters has got for developing communication skills.
Absolutely. And of course, the assessment is not graded. It's not pass fail. It's just a tool to help you identify the area in which you might want to advance your learning. Carol, have you tried out Pathways or seen your club members try it out? And what have you experienced with it?
Yes, I have. And Teresa and VJ, you both explained it well. I would add that it is an all online available program. There's no longer that notebook that you have to hang around with or make sure you bring to the meeting. So the online version has been very helpful for our club because it's very simple to do screenshotting, and I actually put a PowerPoint together on how our members can log in and take the assessment. And the other feature I like is you can review all the paths before you even take the assessment and pick the assessment that you want, because maybe after the questions, the assessment that you wanted to, the path you wanted to choose isn't available after your assessment, but you can still choose to pick your first path, the one that you want. And then once you're done with that path, you can move on to the next path.
Absolutely. And for anybody who has not yet started Pathways, they can test it out by viewing the Icebreaker project at toastmasters.org. So you can get kind of a freebie shot at reviewing what it looks like without having to log into your account. So the Pathways is the wave of the future, and it has been extremely beneficial during these times of safer at home orders. And we've been able to email our evaluation sheets around to everybody instead of having books that we were using. And very helpful. We've heard everybody mention a little bit about benefits of Toastmasters, but let's focus and narrow down a little bit more on that. What are the benefits that you believe Toastmasters offers generally and to you specifically? Let's start with Teresa for this one.
Okay, I think that Toastmasters offers you critical experience to boost your career. And that experience is communications, of course, but it's also leadership. And that's one that we often overlook. By participating in the exercises and volunteering for additional roles, it allows you to get that experience and to take it out to your jobs, use it in your family environments, or in other organizations that you're involved with. One thing that I'd like to point out is that Toastmasters is excellent for developing soft skills. And typically we don't hear about that. And those are the skills that are intangible. They are valued in human resources, because when you take those skills to work, for instance, self-confidence, if you're self-confident, you're going to be a more productive employee. You have increased visibility because you have experienced leadership, organizing events, time management, delegating, and planning. You have a way to practice those in Toastmasters, get feedback from them. You're able to receive and give constructive feedback, and you can take that into your workplace. So those are some of the benefits that I love about Toastmasters and that have helped me tremendously.
Thank you very much, Teresa. And you touched on a really important aspect of it, is those soft skills. So I'm going to diverge from the original question and expand on that one just a little bit. But Carol, what would you say some of the soft skills that you've benefited from learning through Toastmasters or further developing?
That is a true additional benefit that you get when you join Toastmasters. It is sort of even on top of soft skills is learning other people's personalities and other people's comfort levels. Because being in a corporate club and working with a lot of different individuals from a lot of different departments within our just one organization, I do find myself being, my message is critiqued as, massaged a little bit for each member, because it's trying to get them to move forward to the next project, or make sure they, ask them to sign up to be Toastmaster and lead the meeting. So those are skills that I've already have in my handbag from being a Toastmaster, not just now being a club officer and learning how to talk to folks and make sure we're getting the agenda filled for our meeting. So it really has been an additional benefit that is not really in the handbook, but that we do enjoy as being Toastmasters.
Absolutely. And some of those soft skills are developed. You touched on briefly the club officer roles or meeting roles, being Toastmaster of the meeting. VJ, what are some of the specific soft skills from being, for example, Toastmaster or a speech evaluator that you've seen people and yourself develop further from filling those roles during a club meeting?
Well, I've seen people, being able to see, being able to critique something, what they see, without offending the other person, and the ability to do that comes from getting the other person to listen to you first. Because if nobody's listening to you, they're not taking it as the truth, they will not relax. But being able to get the other person to listen to you and then giving that feedback that will make them a better person, right? I want to be better, but I don't want to be told in public how good I can become. But there's an ability to do it. And that's how I've seen the evaluators, they develop that skill over a period of time, that person becomes so happy listening to being criticized, And I wish all our parents had that ability, right? We would have been better kids growing up. But, that's a skill that you cultivate, and that's helped me a lot, because I hire a lot of faculty members in my college. I used to be the dean of a college, and in a field that I'm not educated in that medical field. I'm an engineer by profession, but by luck or other factors, I became the dean of a medical college, and I had to hire as many as 40 faculty members who are in the medical field. So I know they have the hardware, just like we all have the hardware to go in and do something. But it's the software that makes that hardware drive, it makes it, puts it into gear. And that's built through Toastmasters, that skill that you develop, the confidence that you get up, that you get into, and the ability to do something that you thought you could never do. And for me, that's come as a result of Toastmasters. And I've changed 2 or 3 professions, and I've done very well in them just because of the confidence I developed in Toastmasters, that ability to see something and critically and appreciate something you don't agree with. And that's how evaluation helps a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you, VJ. Some of the other soft skills that we've seen are people develop in Toastmasters are time management, organization, delegation. Teresa, talk to us about the club meeting as a whole and how those types of skills can be further developed in the meeting, how the meetings organize that.
Well, what's important is that you take on roles. Each member takes on a role in your club meeting, and it starts with the Toastmaster and the general evaluator. And what they're doing is organizing that meeting. They are motivating teams to participate in the meeting. They are being responsible to teach others to do what they need to do when they can't perform that job. So they know that they need to find someone else. That job still must be done. So it increases their responsibilities. They facilitate the entire meeting, and of course it increases their confidence, but oftentimes they are motivating others to give them confidence. And when they're learning that and they get confidence that they can do something in that particular meeting, they go out in the world and they apply what they've learned in Toastmasters. Oftentimes people will give speeches in Toastmasters meetings, and they can get open, honest feedback, and they can adjust their message so that it's more effective and it's heard better. Also, one thing that's important is generally outside of Toastmasters, we hear speakers and we hear a lot of ums, uhs, and those messages that they're giving us may be an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. And in Toastmasters, we learn time management. We learn to say what we need to say in a short amount of time, get that point across, do it effectively, and learn our audience, analyze our audience, and present that information to them in a way that they can receive it quickly.
Very good points, Teresa. Thank you. Ums and ahs might be one thing that everybody in Toastmasters jokes about, because once you attend a meeting, even as a guest for the first time, you will pay much more close attention to everybody you hear speaking, and including politicians, sportscasters, newscasters, and you will start counting their ums and ahs whether you want to or not. And you'll say, that person could use Toastmasters. Running joke amongst Toastmasters. So we talked a little bit about how the club meeting can help benefit. Carol, one of the soft skills that I think that your club really has benefited, and you can identify your club as well, by the way. Your club started a couple of years ago, and I think I've seen you as an experienced Toastmaster mentor the members in your club. Talk to us about the mentoring experience you've had as part of Toastmasters and how that has helped you in your professional and or personal life.
Sure. Thank you, Robin. Yes, at the Tampa International Airport, we just had our club started in 2017, and the name of it is Plain Speaking at Fly TPA, and it's a play on words, PLANE. And then the @ symbol at Fly TPA is our social media Twitter tag. So we wanted to incorporate some of that into our club name. And again, talking about the benefits again, I joined Toastmasters in 2014 for one reason, and then all these other benefits happened. I mean, I didn't know that we were going to have a corporate club come to the airport, and I didn't know that learning those officer roles and seeing what all those goals were for the club that you receive from Toastmasters International each year, and being prepared to take on a corporate club and being able to lead our members and encourage colleagues to be club officers and tell them that, you know, I know what the goals are. We just need to make sure we're lining up and sending a clear message to the members. We had almost 50 people join, and we only are a 600 club, 600 employee count. So we had a large group of initial members who joined, and we hit the ground running with those CC books and the CL books, and we had members fly right through. And I think part of that mentorship was just making sure that they knew what their goals were and making it very clear to them that, okay, here's the CC book, fill out your, you know, your speeches and get your evaluator lined up and get the agendas full. And I think in general, we really just enjoy getting to know each other, because we can kind of work in different silos because we're all in different departments across the organization, and getting to hear people's icebreakers and know where they grew up. And, you know, they would come in with props and be very creative where we would get to know each other, and just helping make sure that they were in a very, like we said already, safe environment and comfortable environment that they could express themselves, learn their speeches and give their speeches and get immediate feedback with their evaluations. Like Teresa mentioned, they walk out of the room already with a stronger understanding of how their message can be even stronger, even with a strong message, making it even stronger.
Thank you very much, Carol. And mentoring is a huge part of Toastmasters, and Pathways has specific projects focused on mentoring from the perspective of being a mentee and being a mentor. And we found that clubs that have mentoring programs for experienced members kind of guide and help the newer members really do have a vibrant and quality environment. Vijay, you mentioned you are a professor as well, and you used to be a dean. how has Toastmasters helped you in your career specifically, whether it's the mentoring or the other soft skills?
For me, it's always been, I always go back to my Toastmasters and pull out something from the toolkit there. For example, when I'm giving a performance evaluation, I know how difficult it is because I get one from my boss and I don't like it, because it's always very critical, right? So I always tell them, join Toastmasters. But when I do that with people who report to me, I know what it is. I need to bring in a certain change in their behavior going forward, but I also want to appreciate anything that good that they did in the past. So, what we do in Toastmasters is similar to that. We are not only told what we did well, but what we can do better. Nobody tells you you did something wrong. They tell you what you can do better to become a better communicator. And that's done in a very safe environment, people who are always rooting for you. Because when you go up there to speak, nobody wants you to fail. They all want you to succeed. So it's a very safe environment. I would call it the R&D of real life, research and development, because every speech becomes your R&D for your next speech. So through going through these evaluations help me when I call in people, the way I treat them, the way I, ask them questions and ask them how we can change certain behaviors after getting them to listen to me. That's where I got to be the Dean of the Year across 32 campuses within 18 months of joining that organization. And I'm sure it had nothing to do with the skills I brought into the organization, but what I learned at Toastmasters, because I applied it verbatim. And then, of course, when the conference, because you're taking a new job, you're going into areas which are new to you, medicine, nursing, for example. I could read the program folders and understand what it means. But that confidence to go and stand in front of students and, talk to them like what you're talking about, that comes through again through Toastmasters. So it's both through, the faculty and the people I interact and the external agencies. Because I get to talk to external agencies who becomes a source of employment for my graduates. So when I go out there and meet and give a 2 or 3 minute speech on the quality of students that graduate from my college or university, they come and walk up to me and ask me, which country are you from? Because they know I look different. So then, because they're asking me, where did you learn to speak English this way? And then I always plug Toastmasters there. So a lot of places where I go and, Toastmasters is always, I've relied on the skills I learned at Toastmasters. And mentors, very important. You don't get mentors in real life all the time, but in Toastmasters, there are people who will approach you, tap you on the shoulder and say, I want to talk to you about your speech. And they take 5 minutes. Do you have 5 minutes? And they talk to you. I had one mentor like that when I started in Toastmasters. He taught me everything from, you better get a new suit for your next speech, because when you dress, you look and you'll communicate well. And I said, I don't have money. I'm new to this place. I still don't have a job. He said, okay, let's go to a place where we'll split. There's buy 2 suits so you get one free. So, we can split it. So he went out of his way to make me successful. And he was very well established in his profession. He had multiple jobs. He sang for the Choral Society. He was the vice president of his company. And then he did his own podcast, radio show. But in spite of that, he did that for me, which, only a Toastmaster in a Toastmasters club will do that for you, right? So, and the camaraderie you develop between, with members of your club. When I went to Australia, I was asking someone in the club, hey, what is the place I need to go look at before I leave this country? I need to look at few places, tourists. The area director, who happened to be a member of that, walked with me 20 blocks. And why should he do that? Because he knew I'm a Toastmaster, he's a Toastmaster. So a lot of people willing to help you grow, and they want to see you succeed. And I've seen that happen in many of our clubs and in our district.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vijay. And you touched on a lot of different aspects of Toastmasters and a couple of new terms that have been brought up. And just for the benefit of our audience, we have clubs, that are organized into areas, usually geographically, and the areas form divisions, and then the divisions make up the district. And we have district leadership, we have area directors who communicate between the district and the clubs. We have division directors that are kind of the intermediary between the top district leadership and the area directors, and then the top district leadership. And VJ, by way of history, is a past district director for our district. I'm currently a district director. Teresa is an incoming club growth director, so she'll be charged with helping build new clubs for the district, new sustainable clubs. And Carol has been club officer, and so there's a whole bunch of leadership opportunities, which the tagline for Toastmasters is where leaders are made. And it took me a while, I'll be honest, it took me a while to figure out, well, wait, but we focus on communication. That's because leadership stems from communication. If we have that first building block of communication down, as VJ mentioned earlier, and Carol and Teresa both touched on, then we have the confidence, and then we have the leadership skills that flow. So, Teresa, what leadership skills have you gleaned from Toastmasters, and what are you hoping to glean from your path on district leadership?
Some of the leadership skills that I have received from Toastmasters, I actually joined because of communications, but I found myself in leadership and enhancing my leadership. And it started with management and supervision. Again, totally things that I was not necessarily interested in, but it came naturally with being a part of Toastmasters and taking on additional roles. Also, being supported, monitoring progress reports when you're an area or district or even a club leader. You're monitoring how your club is doing. You're monitoring how individuals in your clubs are doing, because you're going to go back to them to motivate them. You're training district officers, you're training area officers and club officers in that leadership position. And one of the things that I like a lot, presentation skills. You learn how to present appropriately, more effectively. As I said before, that is presented at your club level, and you're giving feedback so that you can go back, and actually Pathways allows you to go back and redo that presentation or that speech again with the feedback and implement that feedback. So that's one of the great things about the leadership that you get in Toastmasters. You're able to improve on your organization, and you're able to anticipate problems that will arise just through the leadership that you've already done and the planning. You're able to anticipate those problems and plan for them before they happen. And those are skills that employers value.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Teresa. And you touched on how this can impact people's careers. We have another past district leader who credits Toastmasters with assisting him with getting a promotion to VP of a large financial institution. He was able to draw on his experiences in club and district leadership during the interview process to explain how he would be able to meet the goals and responsibilities of his job there. I don't have his permission to share his name or what company he works for, so I'm being a little vague. And we have a past district sergeant at arms, also known as logistics manager, who filled the role for the district and then parlayed that into a promotion over at Disney into their logistics department. And so there are some real life applications of how Toastmasters has helped our members locally, but members worldwide, into improving their career trajectory. And more examples of those can be found at toastmasters.org. Carol, I want to bring this back down to current events a little bit. You mentioned, I think before the panel started, that that Plain Speaking at TPA has held their second online meeting. How have you seen Toastmasters help you and members in general be able to adapt to changing circumstances like the current events that we're currently seeing?
Very appropriate, Robin, because we at the beginning of the pandemic actually sent a lot of employees that could work from home to work from home. We sent them home with iPads, we sent them home with Surface Pros, and you've been communicating with your boss online, you've been communicating with this is, we use another platform, but with video conferencing. So we knew that we still wanted to meet as a club. We didn't want to just not meet. And, Toastmasters International, even the district said, move to online platforms. So we did. The club officers, we met and we selected a platform that we were all comfortable with. And we, tried to test it out and do the chat feature and how do we do timer and, make sure that the members knew that we were working on getting an online meeting up and running. And so we did. We scheduled one and we had about a dozen members join. And it helps, again, in this nice, soft, friendly environment, learn how to give a speech online, make sure your message is coming across clearly, putting yourself in the picture frame, and unmuting and muting yourself at the right time is really good practice to do with Toastmasters, because it's something where it's instruction, but then when you don't have to do it with the boss and you don't have to do it with, in an important meeting or an important presentation, because we're still carrying heavy presentations with a lot of people on calls to what's our moving forward plan? How is the airport going to accept passengers when the numbers start coming back up? We rolled out our TPA ready, hashtag TPA ready, because when passengers start flying again, we are going to be ready with the 6-foot markings on the ground, with the plexiglass at the counters for passengers to keep them safe. And in the meantime, we're all the busy bees are still working, but just in this virtual setting.
Thank you. And of course, your club is a corporate club. Teresa, I believe you belong to at least one community club. How have current events helped, or how have the members learned to adapt based on current events and shifting to an online virtual world?
Actually, I belong to 2 community clubs, and what we did is those members that were technologically savvy were able to pivot and set up that online presence immediately. And we had several members that were not comfortable with that and had never done it before. So it allowed us an opportunity to train them and mentor them one-on-one and in group settings so that they would be comfortable taking on roles, and to the point that a lot of them thought they could not do it, and they are able to. Each one has been able to take those roles now, and they're more confident on the computer. A lot of them have taken the knowledge back to their jobs, and they're able to participate in Zoom meetings at work more comfortably now. They're able to send emails and do spreadsheets and other activities. Another thing that we have done is create strategic partnerships. And we did that by building relationships, whether it is with the organizations that are allowing us to meet there, or with some corporate sponsor that is supplying some type of equipment that our club may need. But that is one of the things that we have done since the COVID pandemic has occurred.
It's been a challenge for a number of clubs and members to pivot to online. Personally, when one of my clubs decided we were going to meet online, I was like, I don't want to do that. That's not going to be fun. It's going to be a chore.
Right.
Well, first of all, I'm saving an hour a day because I don't have to drive 30 minutes each way to the club meeting, which is awesome. But also, I have found that it's actually a lot of fun. I like the in-person meetings. I miss it, the handshakes. But online meetings provide an opportunity for more people to attend consistently more interaction, everything's digital. I get more feedback this way. But also I've taken on a whirlwind tour of our district. So I visited 14 clubs in the past 3 weeks, as long as they're open to guests and they're meeting online. And I can do that, whereas before I couldn't. So Vijay, you've been a member of Toastmasters for a number of years. Why do you stay in Toastmasters?
Because, yeah, that's a good question. So a lot of people think, you're there for a purpose, meet that purpose and leave. But there are so many opportunities in life that come your way, and they're not the same when you started out here 25 years ago, right? And those opportunities that come your way changes. And so as a result of that, you need to keep, renewing your skills. It's not that your skills have gone bad. It's a way of, learning to swim or learning to cycle. They don't disappear. But then, the way we communicate changes over time, right? It's not the same as it was 20 years ago. We use a certain mode of communication. And that can be from country to country too. We all communicate differently, but we need to know how most of the people communicate, the masses communicate. There's somebody called, what do you call, the universal consciousness. Right? So one reason I went back is I want to experiment with my communication style. Earlier when I started, I would have notes and I would use those notes. I'd go prepared and then I'd deliver speeches. Then I did it without notes. And then I said, let me do one thing. Let me go in there and just deliver a speech, come up with the speech topic and everything just before the meeting starts, 5 minutes, and then deliver a speech. And then get feedback on that. And so it's a process of continuously improving myself. And then I get into so many other activities in my non-professional life, community activities, that I decide to act out certain things in front of people because I get an audience and then get a feedback on that. So my needs change over time. My non-career needs change. And then you keep enhancing your skills to the needs of the day. Those are three reasons. Those are the three reasons I would go back again. And I've been a member of Toastmasters since 1996.
That is a long membership, and I'm proud of mine because I've been since 2012. That's nothing on you, Vijay. And I can tell you that I'm thrilled that you remain in Toastmasters. I've used you as a mentor and provided guidance, and I've learned from you a number of leadership skills in particular, like how not to fly off the handle, react, to actually think before I speak sometimes. Carol,
Yeah.
what about you? Why do you stay in Toastmasters?
I'll add that, Robin. One of my speeches was on emotional intelligence because it is a very crucial skill to know, is just not to have those emotions when something can make you upset. I totally understand. So kind of like what Vijay said, I mean, communication style has changed in the last 3 months. I mean, we're online right now. We're not even in a room together because you have to learn how to get online yourself, set up the computer, make sure you're putting in the right code. And I consider myself a lifelong learner. And Toastmasters is just the right avenue to experiment with. You know, you come in for one reason, to become a stronger public speaker, and then you become a club officer and you see your members grow, you see your club reaching all its goals, and then it's, you know, you just want to continue to do that growth. You have a person who leaves, but you have a new member that comes in and it kind of starts all over again. So that's just one of the other many reasons why it's, you know, you stay in Toastmasters: friendships, colleagues, you know, support, mentorship, contests, you know, doing contests. we did a table topics contest when we first came to the airport, and we had like 6 or 7 people who joined the contest, and we filled the boardroom with all our executives and a lot of, we invited all of our leadership, and it was really exciting to have a club contest and come up with a question and see how the people, it was new to all of them because a lot of folks hadn't been exposed to Toastmasters. So yeah, fun just to stay because there's always something new.
Absolutely. And no 2 meetings are the same. No 2 events are the same. It's a great learning opportunity just to how to deal with change and varying circumstances. Teresa, how about you? Why do you stay in Toastmasters?
Well, Robin, the world is constantly changing, and we have to adapt with it. And for me, there's no better way, more affordable way than Toastmasters. There are so many areas of leadership and communication skills that you can learn in Toastmasters. I've only been a Toastmaster since 2013, so I have a long way to go and a long list of things to cross out and accomplishments that I want to achieve. So I remain a member because I'm still learning. I still enjoy it. I'm meeting new people that help me in different ways. I am getting compliments from processes and things that I'm learning in Toastmasters that I'm implementing. I'm building other relationships. And as long as I get those compliments to say, hey, where'd you learn that? Or can you teach me how to do that? Then I'm going to refer them to Toastmasters. So I keep coming because I enjoy it and because I'm continuously evolving.
Absolutely. Thank you, Teresa. So we have, between the 3 of you, we have community club representation and we have corporate club representation. What would you say the advantages of both clubs are? We'll start with Carol for that one.
Thanks, Robin. My big comparison to the community club is when I first joined, I was more comfortable with not knowing my audience. That was comforting for me. It was new faces, it was new individuals. It wasn't someone that I worked with or would see every day. So that was my comfort level. And getting to know people in your community. That's another benefit of a community club because I now have new friends that I would not have before Toastmasters. Our paths would not have crossed. And then a community club benefit is kind of the same thing. It's a community at work, and there's some folks that you won't cross paths with at work because you're in a different area of the building or another floor. And Toastmasters has been able to bring us closer together, and we kind of learn how certain departments work and easier access to getting things done at work. So it's and even the leadership, our HR department, it's a training mechanism for our employees, and keeping the HR department involved and making sure they're always aware of when our employees hit milestones. I always send our HR department membership spotlights, like when they're reaching levels and they're, hitting goals that is for not only for the club, but for themselves and for our company.
Excellent, thank you. Vijay, you've been a Toastmaster and up in the Northeast. What do you think the advantages of a corporate club and a community club are?
There are many advantages, and depends on what you want to do. And to add to Carol's, what she said, we also get a letter from the international president when we complete a certain level in Toastmasters, right? It goes to our employer, and that helps a lot. So I found, we charted some 18 clubs. So I found that there was a lot of push in the Northeast for corporate clubs. And I don't want to put Deidre and Kai, to get this wrong, because when we went to McGraw-Hill, that is one of the publishing companies, they were paying each member $1,000 to complete it used to be called the CTM, which is first 10 speeches, right? And they paid 165 people that amount of money. So that showed in a publishing industry how important they considered that skill to be, public speaking skill to be. And this happened as soon as their CEO walked into one of the meetings and they evaluated him. He had some 27 hours and arms, and they told him, none of us speakers have any arts and arms. And he said, yeah, I'm going to declare $1,000 for every person who completes those 10 speeches, and I'll give it to 165 people. So he was impressed by the program. So I found a lot of push in the Northeast for corporate clubs. We had one at the LaGuardia Airport too. But in the community club, what happens is you meet people of different professions. So you're talking to an audience that is not just somebody who's in the same profession as you. And another advantage is if you want to go into business or you want to do a lot of networking with members of the community, then a community club is advisable for you. But in a corporate club, you have other advantages. You can practice your sales presentation for the organization or anything concerning the corporation. You can do it within the corporation without violating any intellectual property rights or any trade secrets, because everybody who works in the company knows that. And also your boss gets to see that you're putting an extra effort into something that you don't get paid for, right? When you are in a, yeah. So there are many advantages, and I would like you all to choose between either of them, experiment with them. It's called romancing the club. If you have a corporate club where you are working, then go to that corporate club and it'll be easier. 1 hour of less commute. Going to a community club will be half an hour going and half an hour coming back. You don't do that. You finish it at work and you're done with it. And you're paid. And it could happen during your lunchtime once a week or once in 2 weeks. That's another advantage of having you don't have to make that extra travel effort to go to a community club. But if it's a community club that you love to go to, then go to that one and then you'll interact. It depends on what you want to do.
Absolutely. And yeah. For our audience, if there is not a corporate club at your place of employment, we are happy to help you start one should you choose to do that if you're not comfortable at a community club. Usually the corporate clubs have a restricted membership only to that company or only to that building. We have a couple that have since opened up to, well, before COVID-19 had opened up to allow the general public, but those are few and far between with respect to corporate clubs. I did promise our panelists they would have a chance to plug their club. So Teresa, do you want to plug your 2 community clubs?
I do actually. But what I did want to say something about the corporate clubs and community clubs. The corporate clubs often are able to have a better insight of what that business does and to help that company grow. And also an advantage is oftentimes the corporate clubs have worked out an arrangement with HR so that they get leadership development credits when they attend those Toastmasters meetings and actively participate. So I did want to point that out. But my club that I am president of is Sterling Toastmasters. We're in Dunedin. We meet on Monday nights. It is a diverse group of people, and we would love to have you. My other club is Palm Harbor Toastmasters, and it's a very old club. We meet on Thursday nights.
Thank you. Vijay, what about you? Do you have a club you would like to plug?
Yes, I would like to plug the Gurukulam Toastmasters, which meets on Sunday mornings from 10 to 11 at USF, the Cooper's building next to the library. So you're most welcome to come. It's a Sunday morning. You could do it after church or before going to church. So 10 to 11 Sunday morning.
Thank you. And Carol, we heard about your club, and I know it's a corporate club closed for security reasons, obviously. It's the airport. But anything you want to say about your club?
I mean, I'll say that we are very happy to have Toastmasters at our work, and even mentioning HR and my boss at the time, he said that he hadn't heard of another organization I belonged to, but he had heard of Toastmasters before. So it has a good reputation. And like Vijay said, if someone knows you're a Toastmaster, they are willing to go a little extra for you and help support you. And we enjoy having it at the airport.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to plug my clubs. I belong to Gulfport Toastmasters. We meet on Wednesday evenings in Gulfport, although right now we're online. And Cool and Confident that normally meets at St. Pete College Gibbs campus. That's the one on 66th and 5th. and we meet Monday evenings. Both of those meet at 6:30. And so there are a variety of clubs around. Do you have any closing comments, well, that you would like to make? Carol?
I do not, Robin. Thank you so much for having me, and it was my pleasure to join today.
Thank you. Teresa?
I'd just like anyone in the audience to don't hesitate to reach out to any of us or someone in the district if you're interested in joining a club or attending a Toastmasters meeting.
Absolutely. And VJ?
Well, I just want to tell you both, Deirdre, I know you might become a good leader someday, or Kai might become a good communicator someday. But, when I walked into Toastmasters, I did not know what I was doing at that time, but it's helped me tremendously over the years, becoming a better individual, being able to contribute not just in my profession, but also outside my profession to various community organizations that I belong to. Helping people, teaching kids. I've taught over 1,000 kids public speaking over the years. 12 of them were valedictorians in the last 3 years. It helps you a lot to enrich yourself for life. And I know we use a lot of technical terms here like area director, and I apologize for doing that, but we get so carried away by it. But don't get perturbed by that. You will see once you join a group that's Toastmasters, that there are people to help you, guide you through the various paths. And believe me, 1 year from now, you are going to come and tell me your life has improved because you joined Toastmasters. Because I know it's helped many people, not to mention mine and everybody else on this panel, or we wouldn't be members for such a long time. And it will also help you. So give it a try and check it out.
Thank you,
Thank
VJ.
you. Thank you, Robin, for having me on the panel.
Thank you for volunteering. I appreciate it. Teresa, did I ask you about any closing comments?
You did.
Okay, my mind's gone haywire. Kai, I know you're the last audience member still live with us. Do you have any questions you would like to ask?
I do not. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you. Well, as you've heard, Toastmasters International is a valuable resource that can help you achieve your professional and personal goals. We have clubs of all sizes, from clubs with 8 members, sometimes a little bit less. We're working to get them back up to 8 at least, to clubs with 30 or more members. We have corporate clubs, we have community clubs. We have themed clubs, some that are advanced, some that we're trying to start one right now that's kind of a cross between Toastmasters and a book club. Due to COVID-19, the clubs that are continuing to meet are meeting online. A lot of them are using Zoom as their platform, and you can reach out to those clubs by visiting district48.org and or toastmasters.org and use the Find a Club button to find a club near you. I encourage everybody who views this, check out a Toastmasters club near you. The experience is valuable beyond any dues that would be paid. And I thank everybody, most especially our panelists, for attending today. Thank you very much and have a great weekend.
Thanks, Robin.
Thank you.